Welcome to Cultura Latina. This week we'll introduce you to one of Ecuador's finest filmmakers through a very special and inspiring conversation. And also, we'll visit Bolivia's National Film Archive, which offers a wide variety of films and artistic activities.
Follow the music. Admire the art. Place yourself inside historic architecture. Every week, here on Telesur English. Welcome to Cultura Latina.
Tania Hermida is a celebrated Ecuadorian filmmaker driven by a unique vision. With a distinctive touch, Hermida has created sensitive visual images inspired in her own life, and her masterpieces have received international recognition. Join us.
We'll look at what some see as a renaissance in Ecuadorian cinema. Recent years have seen the Ecuadorian National Film Fund, created in 2006, grow exponentially. Last year, it disbursed $1.1 million and produced 13 features and documentaries. When the country created the National Film Institute, or Cencine, in 2006, it produced one film a year on average, and prior to 1999, only one film every 4 years. This thriving industry is already bearing fruit, with award-winning productions making waves at Cannes, Berlin, and Toronto. Today on Cultura Latina, we'll be talking with one of the pioneers of this boom, Tania Hermida. Born in Cuenca, Ecuador, and studied film directing at the San Antonio de los Baños International Film and TV School. She has taught here in Quito at the San Francisco de Quito University and bridges politics and art, having contributed to Ecuador's new constitution. Her first film from 2006, Que Tan Lejos, was critically heralded and helped pave the way for the new wave of Latin cinema.
In Ecuador, one of the great things that has happened in the last years is that the films that we're making are, many of them are first-time filmmakers, and that always has this fresh approach to reality, this fresh view on things, and this fresh way of telling stories also.
The films of Tania Hermida are crafted in a remarkably distinctive way. She constructs her backdrops from environment and memory of her formative years, creating fully realized scenes that resonate deeply with broader audiences. The delicate touch of the filmmaker's cinematography whisks the viewer away to lush, emotive landscapes with Ecuador's striking countryside. In her own words, the advantage of independent filmmaking is the ability to have a team of people fully involved to the story, and that's a formula for a potent cinematic experience.
I saw several road movies, but I really had already an idea about what I wanted to do. I was sure I wanted to do it in the Andes, and the mountains would have a very important role, and the sea and the fog and the climate, and it was a very geographical movie for me. En El Nombre de la Hija, actually I said, okay, I'm going to make a completely different film. I want to tell this story of this little girl in the 70s confronted with these two ideologies inside her family, which is the communist father and the very Catholic grandmother and all that. And my inspiration was actually, I needed to tell that story because it has a lot to do with my own childhood. And but then when I made the story, when I was already in the editing room, I realized that Que Tan Lejos and En El Nombre de la Hija have so many connections, although there are different times, different main characters, a different story, different style in shooting and everything, but they have many connections because they all have to do with this girl in one case and this woman in the other case, a young woman who start with very firm ideas about themselves and about the world and with these certainties and truths that they hold, and they in the movie they lose all that. They lose certainty, they lose these truths, they lose their dogmas in a certain way.
Run by cinematographers and filmmakers, the Cinemateca Boliviana, or Bolivian National Film Archive, not only holds Bolivia's largest film collection, but also works as an independent movie theater and cultural center.
The Bolivian Cinemateca, or Film Archive, was born in 1976. Charged with preserving and protecting the memory of Bolivia as expressed through its motion pictures, the Cinemateca quickly became one of the most important cultural institutions in Bolivian cinema. Today, it is not only the site of the country's most prestigious national and international film archive, but also a fully independent movie theater and cultural center.
Es una bisagra.
It's a hinge, it's a bridge. The Cinemateca is many things.
Mela Marquez is the current executive director of Cinemateca. Herself a cinematographer, she says the Cinemateca rose to prominence during a difficult era characterized by a series of dictatorships and the brutal suppression of places where Bolivians could think freely.
During the period of persecution of democracy and militarism, the years of bullets and dictatorships, the Cinemateca was a place where many intellectuals were formed and where they saw world cinema. The Cinemateca was set on fire and burned for premiering the militant film El Coraje del Pueblo, but people supported us. Really, the place was a pillar in the defense of democracy.
In spite of being a constant target of the military dictatorships of the 70s and early 80s, the classics of Bolivian cinema survived, and today are housed together with countless numbers of priceless international film reels in the vaults of Cinemateca's archive. Entering the archive, one is hit with an overwhelming sense of the historical weight contained within the walls of Cinemateca.
Preserving the memory of film, the patrimony of film, is the equivalent of preserving the memory of the country. And the memory of a country does not just mean having a group of movies as a sort of memento. Movies are identity, and identity is always sovereignty, and so it's very important to know your past, to be able to face your possible future.
Renowned Bolivian director and former president of Cinemateca, Antonio Eguino, says that beyond solely safeguarding the memory of a country, the institution continues to play an important historic role in promoting and developing Bolivian cinema.
The Cinemateca has a long trajectory of having spread, promoted, and incentivized Bolivian cinematography. It provides possibilities that commercial theaters don't. For example, providing better treatment to the movie, giving more space and time for the movie to run.
Mejor trato a la película y además darle más espacio de tiempo en cartelera.
Moviegoers who frequent the Cinemateca movie theater will find not only Bolivian films, but also both independent and mainstream movies from around the world.
Since the Cinemateca was formed, it has been a really important place where we can see Spanish, German and Brazilian films. There's a movie every week and there is a diversity you just don't find in commercial theatres.
The Cinemateca shows really beautiful and quality films. I'm not a big fan of commercial cinema. I prefer films that have a good message, that have a good aesthetic, but leaving aesthetic on the side, I really like films that instill values in us, that makes us remember our history, and above all, films that move us and call upon us to protest, that shake us free of apathies and misunderstandings.
Convocar a protestar, a sacudirnos de apatías, de desentendidos.
Through its prized archive and constantly evolving movie theater offerings, the Cinemateca offers a window into the world of independent and classical cinema like no other place in Bolivia.
Comic icon Mafalda is celebrating 50 years with an incredible exhibition. Here's a preview of what we're going to see next week. In 1964, the brilliant vignettist Kino created Mafalda, the most popular Argentinian comic, a little girl so simple as deep. Now, 50 years later, a very special exhibition is mounted in Buenos Aires, The World According to Mafalda. Children and adults do really enjoy the exhibition reading the most famous Mafalda's comics, playing games and participating in funny workshops. The magic scenography fulfills the expectations of the visitors.
Clear-headed, emphatic, and daring, little Mafalda marked generations with her thought and wisecracks. Mafalda was translated into 26 languages, and people from different countries could be part of her world. Mafalda's universe goes on interpolating children and grown-ups from everywhere with a speech full of sagacity and fun. After 50 years, she still makes us think and laugh.
Thanks for watching. Next week we'll visit one of the most celebrated art collections in Latin America, along with an inspiring exhibition you won't want to miss. See you then.